story here. Father Time be damned. 18-27, $120, but all sorts of entertainment out of Philip Rivers. Back in studio, Joe Musso pleased to be alongside the guys. He is CBS lead NFL insider Jonathan Jones. That's the two-time champ Bryant McFadden. America's running back Emery Hunt in with thoughts. And Philip Rivers might be, I think he's elder at this desk. If I'm not, by some years.
Yeah.
But this was interesting stuff. It was entertaining, if nothing else. It wasn't necessarily the prettiest game of football, Mac, we saw from either sides. But I really feel like the story here belongs to Philip Rivers. What did you make of the way that he put himself forth with about a week to get ready after 5 years off?
Shouts out to Philip Rivers giving every 44-year-old car pickup line dad an opportunity to fulfill a dream and go out there and compete. That's what we saw. This was the storyline, to your point, Joe. We wanted to see exactly how number 17, the new 17, will look in this uniform. And granted, the uniform didn't fit the same way it did 5 years ago. I understand. We know he drank a few beers, whatever the case may be. But he went out there and he competed. Now, did he go out and just have a great game? No, but we didn't expect that. But one thing he did not do, he didn't put the ball in harm's way. Outside of that interception that he threw at the end of the game, of course, he was a bit aggressive, trying to force something. They had no timeouts. He did what he needed to do. They were controlling this game for pretty much the entirety of this ball game until Seattle made the necessary plays. But Philip Rivers, I'm surprised. I was. Based on what he did, 120 yards through the air. The under hit with his passing yards, which is at 152 and a half. He played serviceable football. Yeah. Now it's about continuing to get better because they're still in the playoff hunt. They still have an opportunity to get into the playoffs. Mathematically speaking, they still have an opportunity. And they're going to get into the playoff hunt. If they get into the tournament, they're going to need Philip Rivers to be better and be able to have a control over this offense. This was the appetizer for him. Hopefully the main dish next week is a lot better.
I'll tell you this much. After starting 8-2, it is 4 consecutive losses for Indy, no matter who the quarterback is. Entertainment factor here, but still a growing worry for Indianapolis that it's all coming apart at the wrong time. But your thoughts here on Rivers, because this was more than novelty that it could have been potentially.
Let's be honest right now, because there are a lot of folks in my position who were simply saying a lot of the positives that folks were saying about Philip Rivers. We're all enjoying the story, right? And you mentioned car pickup line. But there were also a lot of people who, after the jokes, would text immediately after or with the same breath in a source phone call say, I'm worried about the guy.
Little concern.
I don't know if he's going to make it to halftime, right? We saw him take a hit early on in that game, popped right back up. He was under pressure, got pressured about 11 times in this game. Time to throw around 2.3, 2.4 seconds. That's quick. Right, but we knew it had to be quick. We knew that he does not have any mobility. He didn't have it 5 years ago, didn't have it 8 years ago, certainly wasn't going to have it today against a very hungry Seattle Seahawks defense, against a defense led by Mike Macdonald, who will scheme up just about anything on you, right? It was disguising everything, and we saw how many times, Emery, Philip Rivers audibly checking into different things, what he saw defensively. And so he almost had the game-winning drive. Right, Blake Grupe, making that kick from 60 yards, almost had the game-winning drive. Unfortunately, left a little too much time, and it was a great job by the Seattle Seahawks of time management. But credit Philip Rivers, because there are a lot of people who know ball, a lot of people in today's NFL, coaches and executives, who did not think that Philip Rivers was going to make it through this game, much less basically have a game-winning drive in Seattle against that defense. He had that. Defense didn't hold up its end of the bargain there at the end of the game.
We always talk about do your 111, and he did his 111, right? Because you saw the ball after the first hit, the ball came out quickly. He dumped it off to Jonathan Taylor. They couldn't really get a good hit on him after that first hit. That's when the mind starts to play the game itself. He was like, okay, if I could just check it down to my guys. And he had one throw that was where the receiver just didn't see it. It would have been a touchdown. That would have been the long touchdown throw for Philip Rivers. But the fact that he kept this offense on pace, kept this offense moving the ball down the field, and I have to tip my cap to that Colts defense because they forced 6 field goals. So they gave him ample opportunities to win the ball game, which it looked like he did. But what I love the fact that he just did his thing, didn't go out there and try to, go to Canton on every throw. Didn't go out there and try to be a hero. He didn't try to be Scott Bakula and unnecessary roughness with Texas State Armadillos. He just went out there, did his 111, and got the football to the playmakers. They made plays. They got points. They had a lead. It just didn't work out for him in the end. But if he we'll find out tomorrow how he feels.
You took the word.
You know what I'm saying? And see how it
tomorrow feels.
Exactly.
I don't need a source to know how he's feeling tomorrow.
He's getting stretched out, getting that arm loose. This wasn't the heaviest lift in terms of passing attempts, but It was a body coming back to life. We'll see if he can bring these Indianapolis Colts back to life, as it is, again, now 4 straight in the loss column. Do need a thought here on the Seattle Seahawks, because I don't want to put fraud protection on them, but if they could buy that insurance right now, I'm sure they would be, Mac. I'm looking at the first halves in back-to-back games against teams you're not just supposed to beat. You're supposed to take care of handedly. 6 points, 2 field goals against Atlanta, 6 points, 2 field goals here against the Indianapolis Colts. They are slow starts, and this one continued into the second half. What are you seeing from Seattle's offense?
Running game, the lack thereof. They cannot run the football. I mean, today against the Colts, they averaged 2.2 yards per rush. That's not winning football. It puts more pressure on Sam Darnold. And we know Sam Darnold, he's at his best when there's a source of balance for the offense. They can't run the football. They got capable guys in the backfield. For whatever reason, the lack of rhythm has been well documented with their struggles running in the football. And you don't want to go into the playoffs, because we all believe the Seattle Seahawks, they're a playoff caliber team, especially with the feistiness that they have on the defensive side. But they're so one-dimensional. They can't do anything outside of throwing the football to JSN and to Shaheed. So they got to find a way to generate some positivity in the running game, which could jumpstart more momentum in the first half and ultimately put you in positions to score touchdowns instead of field goals. That is the one issue with teams that settle for field goals, the inability to run the football in the red zone. Because if you can't run it in between the 20s, you can't run it when the field's shrinkings. And that's what we're seeing. So let's see, can they get back to the drawing board to be better? It was ugly. They won a ball game. There's no such thing as style points in the National Football League. But us as fans, when we get to December football, we want to see who's thriving, who's surviving. Today they survived, but they won because they played against a 44-year-old quarterback.
11 wins. No matter how ugly, that's where they stand squarely in that playoff picture with everything in front of them. And it's thanks in part to the Myers man.
How his leg gonna feel, Mike?
Yeah,
he's gonna be
get him iced down, too. Six times against the Colts.
Ravens didn't have to throw a whole bunch of points on the board and didn't have to wow you with the stat line. They only had 40 offensive plays in this game. They didn't have a single drive of 8 or more plays. So they were efficient in scoring the football. And obviously the Cincinnati Bengals defense is something that is going to have to take a very hard look at this offseason. The front office has to do better there. Speaking of the front office, that's a place that Joe Burrow is looking. That's a place that he has spoken to a number of times in press conferences. And we heard his comments earlier this week on his 29th birthday about how he's not having any fun out there on the football field and how he only plays football to have fun. Many people thought, is he hinting at an early retirement? Remember, of course, Andrew Luck retired at the ripe age of 29. Is he talking about potentially trying to get out of Cincinnati? Remember, of course, Carson Palmer had to retire to get his freedom from Cincinnati. I'm told that Joe Burrow is just frustrated, that he has been injured and he comes back. Remember, this is supposed to be a 3.5 month injury with the turf toe. He came back in 2.5 months. And the work that he is putting in is not resulting in victories. And so that was frustration from Joe Burrow. But that is going to continue to take place. We're going to continue hearing that. And we're going to have a whole offseason about what's going to be next for Joe Burrow. But now that they're eliminated from playoff contention, we know that this comeback that he had, incredible comeback, all for naught.
Emery, do you choose to highlight the Burrow side of things here, or a Lamar team still alive after this performance?
I'll give you one for each. When you look at the Bengals, the body language was just terrible. And you saw that manifest itself in the drops and then turnovers and all of those things. But when you see that combined with the Ravens on the other side, I was encouraged by their defensive effort, encouraged that they were able to find ways to make plays on the ball. The defense looked like they looked in their heyday when they were making those plays, both getting after the quarterback and on the back end, the coverage was outstanding. Now, some of those drops attributed to that, but also when you look at Lamar Jackson, I thought he did a fantastic job just locking in, throwing the football all over the yard. Had some big-time drops from his receivers, but they made that atonement to make those plays for him at the end. So I thought it was a great game for Baltimore, but I just hate the body language that I saw from Cincinnati.
Well, you might as well get used to seeing bad body language from Cincinnati because it's not going anywhere. When you hear what you heard from your quarterback and Joe Burrow leading up to this ball game, I highly doubt he is the only one that's frustrated in that locker room. But he was the one that was willing to voice his frustration out to all of us, and we're not surprised. So for Cincinnati, mathematically speaking, JJ, to your point, they're eliminated from the playoffs. But even if they won this ball game, we felt like they had no shot to get into the tournament. And when you talk about Baltimore, they were